24-year-old female, last seen leaving Houston, family unable to locate. $500. That's all it took. A phone call, a promise, a ride across town, money for time. But when Felicia Johnson climbed into that car on April 16, 2022, she didn't know the man behind the wheel had already searched how to be a serial killer. He'd bought a saw the day before. He had trash bags in his trunk. He'd sent her Uber to a fake address, his old apartment, so no one would trace her to where he actually lived. Every step, calculated, every detail, planned. And here's the part that'll keep you up at night. 3 weeks later, Houston police had him in handcuffs. They had DNA evidence. They had his blood-soaked apartment. They had his phone with searches like, "Can bleach destroy DNA?" and "Most forested part of Houston?" They had everything, and they let him walk away. 3 years later, he's still out there. No arrest, no trial, no justice. Just a father in California who can't stop searching, and a question nobody wants to answer. How do you let a killer disappear when you already have him? You're about to find out, and it's worse than you think. Welcome to Forensic True Crime Stories, where we share true crime stories based on real events that deserve to be told. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever used Uber, met someone online, traveled to a new city for work? Then this story is your warning. Hit subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell icon so you never miss a new story. Because what you're about to see, the tactics, the red flags, the system failures, they're happening in your city too, and pretending they don't exist won't keep you safe. Felicia Marie Johnson turned 24 on April 10, 2022. Her family threw her a party back home in San Diego. Cake, balloons, friends she'd known since high school. In every photo from that day, she's glowing. Big smile, confidence radiating off her. The kind of energy that makes people want to be around you. She wasn't running from anything. She was running towards something. A career, independence, the life she'd been building online under the name Felicia Marie. Felicia was doing what millions of young women do every day, building a brand, posting content, working on her look, networking. She wanted to break into modeling, acting, the beauty industry, hair, makeup, the whole scene. She wasn't waiting for opportunities to find her. She was hunting them down. And when a chance came up in Houston, a city with clubs, connections, money flowing, she didn't hesitate. 3 days after her birthday party on April 13, 2022, Felicia boarded a plane. San Diego to Houston. Solo trip. New city. Fresh start. She checked into the Intercontinental Houston Medical Center Hotel. Nice place. Safe area. She texted her dad, Kevin, when she landed. Made it. Love you. Everything was fine. Now let me ask you something. How many of you have done exactly what Felicia did? Traveled for work? Stayed in a hotel alone? Networked with strangers online? Chased a bag? Took a risk? Bet on yourself? That's not reckless. That's ambition. That's what we're told to do. Make moves. Don't wait. Go get it. Felicia did everything right. She stayed in a good hotel. She kept her family updated. She was smart, aware, and careful. But here's the thing about predators. They don't care how careful you are. Because while Felicia was settling into her hotel room, posting on Instagram, texting her dad, someone in Houston was watching. Not randomly, not by accident. He was hunting, and he'd already picked his next target. His name was Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, 28 years old. Nigerian heritage, raised in Houston, lived on the north side, worked regular jobs, blended in perfectly. To anyone who knew him, he seemed normal. But 2 years earlier, in 2020, a woman had reported him for sexual assault. She filed a police report, gave a statement. Then, for reasons we'll never fully know, she chose not to press charges. Case dismissed. No arrest, no conviction, no record. Chukwuebuka Nwobodo walked away clean. On Friday, April 15th, Felicia left her hotel. She went to CoverGirls, a nightclub on West Little York Road. She was looking for work, specifically a dancing position. She applied. They turned her down. She left. No drama, no incident. Just another night in a city full of people chasing the same dream. But while she was there, something happened. Or maybe it happened before she even walked in, because by the time Felicia got back to her hotel that night, Chukwuebuka Nwobodo already had her contact information. They'd connected on Snapchat. Here's where it stops being a coincidence and starts looking like a setup. Nwobodo reached out with an offer, $500, cash, for an in-person meeting. He didn't say what the meeting was for, just money, time, an exchange. And Felicia, who was in Houston specifically to make money, said yes. Now you can judge that decision if you want, but ask yourself, have you ever taken a gig you weren't 100% sure about because rent was due? Because an opportunity might not come again? Felicia wasn't naive. She was a 24-year-old woman trying to survive in an expensive world, and Nwobodo knew exactly how to exploit that. On April 16th, Nwobodo went to the bank. Surveillance cameras caught him withdrawing exactly $500. Not $400, not $600. Exactly what he'd promised Felicia. That same day he went shopping. Walmart first, then Home Depot. Trash bags, towels, latex gloves, a flashlight, and a pruning saw. He bought a saw before Felicia even got in his car. So let me ask you again, how does someone this careful, this prepared, this methodical, end up in police custody with all the evidence and still walk free? Because what happened next didn't just destroy Felicia's family. It exposed a crack in the system so big, a killer could slip right through it. And he did. When Houston police finally started digging into Felicia's disappearance, they did what they always do in 2022. They pulled phone records. They subpoenaed Snapchat. They traced every digital move she made in those final hours. And that's when Chukwuebuka Nwobodo's name appeared. Messages, exchanges, an agreement, $500 for a meeting, late at night, his place. But here's where his intelligence shows and why this case almost didn't get solved. He didn't use regular texting. He used Snapchat. Messages disappear. Screenshots get flagged. Less evidence. He offered cash. No Venmo. No paper trail. And he scheduled it for 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning. You know what 3 a.m. means? Fewer witnesses, darker streets, exhaustion messing with judgment. This wasn't random. This was a trap built piece by piece. But investigators found something else when they cracked into his phone, his Google search history, and it told a story Nwobodo never planned to share. Before April 16th, before he even met Felicia, he'd been researching. Houston escorts. How to be a serial killer. How does one plan a murder without getting caught? Read that again. He wasn't Googling self-defense or what to do in a fight. He was Googling how to get away with murder. And then he contacted Felicia, April 16th, 2022. 3 a.m. Felicia's phone lights up. An Uber's been ordered for her. Pickup, Intercontinental Hotel. Destination, 3233 Windchase Boulevard. She didn't order it. Nwobodo did. From his phone. Why? Control. He decided when she left, where she went, how she got there. And here's the genius part, the detail that almost made this unsolvable. That address, 3233 Windchase Boulevard, that wasn't where he lived. It was his old address, a place he'd moved out of years ago. So if police traced the Uber, they'd hit a dead end. An empty apartment, no connection. Felicia would just vanish. While Felicia's Uber was on the way to Windchase Boulevard, Nwobodo was already in motion. Surveillance cameras at his actual apartment, Ornartini 935 South Richmond Avenue, caught him leaving. He drove separately, took a different route, arrived at the old complex just minutes before the Uber pulled up. He parked, waited. And when Felicia stepped out of that rideshare vehicle, she saw exactly what she expected. A guy, an address, the meeting they'd agreed to. She had no idea this wasn't the real location. She had no idea the man walking toward her had a saw in his trunk. She climbed into his car. That was the last time anyone outside of Chukwuebuka Nwobodo saw Felicia Johnson alive. The drive from Windchase Boulevard to Nwobodo's real apartment on South Richmond Avenue? Less than 2 miles, 5 minutes. In that short window, Felicia Johnson disappeared from every digital grid. No more phone pings, no more location data, no Uber record connecting her to his actual address. He'd created a gap, a blind spot, And in that gap, he could do whatever he wanted. By 3:30 a.m., Felicia was inside his apartment. By sunrise, Noboda was at Walmart. Surveillance footage shows Chukwuebuka, Noboda walking through Walmart on the morning of April 16th. His right hand, wrapped in fresh bandages. He's moving fast, grabbing items, not browsing, shopping with purpose. Trash bags, heavy duty, towels, multiple packs, latex gloves, a flashlight. He pays cash, leaves. The next day, April 17th, he's at Home Depot. This time he buys a pruning saw. You know what a pruning saw is used for? Cutting through thick branches, bone, dense material. And his hand, the one wrapped in bandages? He told the clinic he cut it opening boxes. But investigators don't believe that, because when you match the timeline of his injury with the purchases he made, with the blood they found later, it looks a lot more like he hurt himself during a struggle, or during what came after. Back in San Diego, Kevin Johnson is calling his daughter, once, twice, 10 times, straight to voicemail. Felicia was always on her phone, always posting, always checking in, and now, nothing. Her Instagram goes dark. No stories, no likes, no comments. Kevin feels it in his chest. That father's instinct. Something's wrong. He tries to tell himself she's just busy. New city, new opportunities. She'll call back. But by Saturday afternoon, less than 24 hours after she climbed into that car, he knew. He files a missing person report from California. Houston police take the information. Standard procedure. They tell him to wait. She's an adult. She'll probably turn up. They tell him to wait. But Felicia wasn't going to turn up. Because while Kevin was on the phone begging police to start searching, Chukwuebuka Noboda was Googling something new. Can bleach destroy DNA? What does vinegar do to blood? Most forested part of Houston. He wasn't panicking. He was working, methodically, carefully, covering his tracks step by step. And here's the question that should haunt every single person watching this. If he was this meticulous, this prepared, this smart, how did police ever catch him? They caught him because he made one mistake. Just one. And that mistake led them straight to a crime scene so horrific, so soaked in evidence, that there was no question what happened inside that apartment. But catching him and keeping him, those turned out to be two very different things.
So here's the question tonight. What happened to Felicia Johnson? Where is her body? Where is the Houston man police say murdered her? Questions haunting a heartbroken family who are desperate for answers. Grace White has the latest.
Somebody out there has to know something.
Hold on. We need to talk for a second. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed yet, I genuinely need to understand why. Because right now we're 7 minutes into a story about a woman who got lured to her death by someone who Googled how to be a serial killer. And these tactics, they're being used in your city, right now, today. So if you won't hit subscribe to protect yourself, do me a favor. Go to the comments and tell me why. Tell me why this isn't worth 2 seconds of your time. Tell me what it's going to take. Because honestly, I'm curious. Drop your reason below. I'll wait. April 16th, 2022, Saturday afternoon, Kevin Johnson is calling Houston police every hour. Have you found her? Are you looking? What's being done? The answers he gets back are vague, procedural, cold. She's an adult, sir. We're documenting the case. Give it some time. But Kevin doesn't have time to give. His daughter isn't answering. Her social media is frozen. Her credit cards haven't been used. Felicia doesn't just go silent. So Kevin does what the system won't. He hires a private investigator, out of his own pocket, a man who's 1,500 miles away, scrambling to piece together what happened to his daughter in a city he doesn't know. And that private investigator does something Houston PD should have done on day one. He pings Felicia's phone. The signal leads them to Bear Creek Pioneers Park, off Highway 6 and Clay Road, West Houston. It's a massive area, wooded trails, open fields, the kind of place where things get lost. The investigator walks the roadside, searching, scanning, and then he finds it. Felicia's phone, lying in the dirt, the screen cracked, covered in blood. A few feet away, her purse, her belongings, also covered in blood. The private investigator bags the evidence, calls Kevin. Kevin calls Houston police. We found her phone. There's blood. You need to start treating this like a homicide. Kevin Johnson gets on a plane the next day. San Diego to Houston. He's not waiting for the police to move. He's not sitting at home hoping for updates. His daughter is missing in a city 1,500 miles away, and he's going to find her. When he lands, he goes straight to the police station, files an official in-person missing person report, shows them the bloody phone, the purse, the evidence the private investigator recovered. And finally, Houston PD starts moving. They search Bear Creek Park, comb through the trails, bring in dogs. They find more of Felicia's belongings scattered in the brush. But they don't find Felicia. And that's when Kevin realizes something that'll break him for the rest of his life. The police aren't moving fast enough because of who his daughter was. Community activist Quinnell X steps in. If you don't know who Quinnell X is, he's a Houston organizer, leader of the new Black Panther Nation, and he's tired.
Family.
We need you young sisters to look at these cases like Felicia Johnson and realize that your life can be taken from you in the blink of an eye by some sick-minded individual.
Because Felicia Johnson isn't the first young Black woman to go missing in Houston that year. There'd been others, similar circumstances, similar delays, and Quinnell X is watching the same pattern play out again. On April 20th, 2022, he held a press conference. Cameras, media, the whole city watching. And he says this: "We need you young sisters to look at cases like Felicia Johnson and realize that your life can be taken from you in the blink of an eye by some sick-minded individual. These men are kidnapping you, and they are killing you." He calls out Houston PD directly, says missing Black women don't get the same urgency, the same resources, the same care. He demands they treat Felicia's case like it matters. Because it does. Kevin Johnson doesn't stop. He prints thousands of flyers. Felicia's face, her description, a phone number. Black woman, 24 years old, 5'5", long black hair, brown eyes, tattoo of roses and butterflies on her right shoulder. Missing. Please help. He posts them all over Houston. Gas stations, bus stops, grocery stores, everywhere. He organizes volunteer search parties. Strangers show up. They walk the parks, search ditches, dense brush. Anywhere evidence might be hiding. The FBI eventually gets involved. But by this point, it's been days, almost a week.
First of all, take a flick. Take a flick. Come on, take a flick.
Yeah, I got Bel Air and Accessible.
And every hour that passes is another hour Felicia's killer has to cover his tracks. Kevin is doing the job the system should have been doing from day one, and he's running out of time. Houston police finally start pulling the right records. Phone data, Uber receipts, surveillance footage, and that's when Chukwuebuka Nobodo's name appears. They trace the Snapchat messages, the $500 agreement, the Uber he ordered for Felicia. They pull surveillance from the Windchase Boulevard apartment complex. There he is, on camera, waiting. They track his car leaving right around the time Felicia would have arrived. They pull footage from his actual apartment on South Richmond Avenue. His car returns. An hour later, it leaves again. Timestamp matches perfectly with when Felicia's phone pinged near Bear Creek Park. The pieces are falling into place. They get a search warrant for his apartment, and what they find inside changes everything. May 13th, 2022, Houston police execute the warrant on 935 South Richmond Avenue, Nobodo's apartment. They walk in with forensic kits, luminol, cameras, and immediately they know. Blood everywhere, on the bedroom floor, pooled, smeared, massive amounts. In the hallway, drag marks. The kind of blood loss you don't survive. They take samples, run DNA analysis. The results come back fast. Felicia Johnson, her blood, her DNA, all over that apartment. This is the primary crime scene. This is where she died. So now police have the location. They have DNA evidence. They have surveillance footage showing Nobodo's movements. They have his phone with searches like how to get away with murder and can bleach destroy DNA. They have everything. And on that same day, May 13th, 2022, they pulled him over. They search his car, And what they find inside seals his fate, or at least it should have, because what Houston police did next is the reason Chukwuebuka Nwobodo is still free today, and it's going to make you furious. May 13th, 2022. Afternoon. Houston police have their warrant. They have their suspect. They pull over Chukwuebuka Nwobodo during a routine traffic stop. He's driving his personal vehicle, a sedan, nothing flashy. Officers approach, ask him to step out. They've got probable cause. They've got evidence connecting him to a missing woman. They search the car right there on the side of the road. And what they find is damning. In the trunk, a shovel, dirt still on the blade, a large kitchen knife, dried blood on the handle, latex gloves, the kind you buy in bulk. In the back seat, cleaning supplies, bleach, towels, and tucked under the passenger seat, a handgun. But here's what really matters. They swab the trunk, the back seat, the knife. Forensics runs the samples. Felicia Johnson's blood, in his car, not a trace, not a possibility. Her blood, definitive match. Earlier that same morning, a separate team executed the search warrant on his apartment, 12935 South Richmond Avenue. What they documented reads like a horror scene inventory. Bedroom floor, large concentrated bloodstains, multiple pools, evidence of cleanup attempts that failed. Hallway, smear patterns, consistent with something or someone being dragged. Bathroom, traces of blood in the drain, on the tiles, in the grout. They spray luminol. The whole apartment lights up. Blood everywhere he tried to scrub away. DNA testing confirms it, all of it. Felicia Johnson. This isn't circumstantial. This isn't maybe. This is a primary crime scene. This is where Felicia Johnson was murdered. But the police didn't stop there. They pull his credit card records, his bank statements, surveillance footage from every store in a 5-mile radius, and the timeline they build is meticulous. April 16th, 2022. Morning, Walmart. 9:47 a.m. Purchases, heavy-duty trash bags, towels, latex gloves, flashlight. Paid cash. Surveillance shows him walking through the store with his right hand bandaged. April 17th, 2022. Afternoon, Home Depot. 2:14 p.m. Purchase, 1 pruning saw. Receipt recovered, a pruning saw. You know what that's designed to cut through? Thick wood, dense material, bone. He bought it the day after Felicia disappeared. On the morning of April 16th, the same day Felicia vanished, Nwobodo showed up at a walk-in clinic. He had lacerations on his right hand, deep enough to need medical attention. The clinic staff asked what happened. His story? I cut myself opening boxes. They treated him, bandaged the wound, documented it in his medical file. Opening boxes. Right. Because that's what you do when you cut yourself on cardboard. You need stitches. Investigators don't buy it. Not when the timeline matches up perfectly with a struggle. Not when he's buying saws and trash bags hours later. That injury? It tells a different story. Then there's his phone. Police seize it during the traffic stop, get a warrant to search it, and his Google search history becomes the prosecution's roadmap. Before April 16th, Houston escorts. How to be a serial killer. How does one plan a murder without getting caught? April 20th, 4 days after Felicia disappeared. Can bleach destroy DNA? What does vinegar do to blood? April 21st, most forested part of Houston. Late April, how to delete your history completely. 15 cheapest places to live in the world on $1,000 a month. May 3rd, 10 days before his arrest. Can police access a missing person's phone records? How do missing person investigations work? He wasn't panicking. He was researching, step by step, methodically. Destroy evidence, hide the body, plan an escape. This is premeditation documented in real time. And then investigators find something that changes everything. Photos on his phone, images of a dismembered woman's body. Not Felicia, someone else. They can't identify who. No metadata, no location data, no timestamps that help. Just photos of remains, multiple images, which means one of two things. Either Chukwuebuka Nwobodo had been researching this for a long time, or Felicia Johnson wasn't his first victim. And if she wasn't the first, how many others are out there? So let's recap what Houston police have on May 13th, 2022. DNA evidence. Felicia's blood in his apartment, in his car. Surveillance footage, showing his movements the night she disappeared. Purchase records, saws, trash bags, gloves, all bought after she vanished. Medical records, an injury that matches a violent struggle. Search history, literally Googling how to get away with murder. Photos of dismembered bodies on his phone. They have him in custody. They have the car, the apartment, the phone, the evidence. They have everything. Most murder cases don't get half this much proof. Most detectives would kill for a case this solid. So here's the question. What do you think happens next? If you think they arrested him, charged him, and locked him up, you'd be wrong, because what Houston police did instead is the reason Chukwuebuka Nwobodo is still free today. And when you hear it, you're going to lose your mind.
I told you I don't give two fucks. I be getting like a baby.
Why you on my line if you don't pay, niggas?
I got a team full of.
May 13th, 2022. Evening. Chukwuebuka Nwobodo is sitting in an interrogation room at Houston Police Department. He's been detained, questioned, his car's been impounded, his phone's been seized. Officers lay out what they know. They show him the evidence, the blood, the surveillance, the searches. They ask him about Felicia. They ask him about the $500. They ask him about the saw. Nwobodo knows he's caught. But here's the thing about interrogations. What you say doesn't matter as much as what they can prove. And Houston PD already has enough to prove everything. So they process him, document everything, bag the evidence, and then they make a decision that will haunt this case forever. They let him go. Read that again. They let him go. No charges filed, no arrest, no holding cell. Chukwuebuka Nwobodo walked out of that police station on May 13th, 2022, got in his car, drove away, and he has not been seen since. 3 years later, he is still missing, still free, still out there. Houston police said they needed more time to build the case. They said the evidence wasn't complete yet. They said they didn't have enough to hold him. Let me repeat what they had. Felicia Johnson's DNA in his apartment, on his bedroom floor, in his hallway, her blood in his car, in the trunk, in the back seat, a knife with her blood on it, a shovel, trash bags, gloves, a saw, surveillance footage placing him at the scene, purchase records showing he bought body disposal tools, Google searches asking, can bleach destroy DNA, and most forested part of Houston, photos of dismembered bodies on his phone, and they said they needed more time. From May 13th to June 9th, 2022, Chukwuebuka Nwobodo had 3 weeks. 3 weeks to disappear, 3 weeks to destroy more evidence, 3 weeks to run, and that's exactly what he did. On June 9th, almost a month after they had him in custody, Harris County finally filed charges. Murder, tampering with evidence. They issued a warrant for his arrest. But by then, he was gone. Long gone. Kevin Johnson found out weeks later. Imagine that phone call. Imagine learning that Houston police detained your daughter's killer on May 13th. That they had him right there, in handcuffs. That they had DNA evidence, surveillance footage, a blood-soaked apartment, digital confessions, and they let him walk away. Kevin told reporters later that the news shattered him, not just because Felicia was gone, but because her killer had been caught and the system failed. He did everything right. He flew to Houston. He hired investigators. He printed flyers. He organized search parties. He pushed the police to act. And when they finally caught the guy, they let him go. So now the question isn't just, where is Chukwuebuka Nwobodo? The question is, who else has he hurt since May 13th, 2022? Because remember those photos on his phone, the dismembered bodies they couldn't identify. If Felicia wasn't his first victim, and he's been free for 3 years, how many more are there? Kevin Johnson still doesn't have his daughter's body. Not yet. Because while police were giving Nwobodo a 3-week head start, He was out there finishing what he started. And what he left behind? It took 10 months to find. And when they did, it broke Kevin all over again. If you're not angry right now, I don't know what to tell you. Because this didn't have to happen. Felicia Johnson's killer was caught. He was in custody. The case was solved. And someone made a decision that let him walk away. So if you're sitting there thinking, this is messed up, you're right. And if you're still not subscribed, I genuinely need to know why you're okay watching this happen and not doing anything about it. Subscribe right now. Not for me, for the next Felicia Johnson, for the next family that's going to have to fight a broken system, because the only way we hold anyone accountable is by making noise. So hit that button, drop a comment, say justice for Felicia, let the algorithm know this matters, or stay silent and let the next family suffer alone. Your choice. For 10 months, Kevin Johnson lived in hell. Not knowing became its own kind of torture. Where was his daughter? Was she still alive somewhere? Being held? Suffering? Or was she gone and he just hadn't found her yet? He went back and forth between San Diego and Houston, kept searching, kept organizing volunteers, kept pushing police for updates, but the trail had gone cold. Noboto was gone. Felicia was missing, and every day that passed felt like losing her all over again. Kevin told reporters later that he couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything else. His other kids needed him. His wife needed him. His job needed him. But his mind was in Houston, in those woods, in that apartment. Somewhere his daughter was out there, and he couldn't bring her home. February 7th, 2023. A worker with the Texas Department of Transportation is doing routine maintenance along Highway 149 in Montgomery County, near a place called Flamingo Lakes, deep in the Sam Houston National Forest. It's remote out there. Heavy woods. The kind of place where nobody goes unless they're hunting or hiding something. The worker sees something that doesn't belong. A torn trash bag, partially buried. Animals had gotten to it. He gets closer, and he realizes what he's looking at. Human remains. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office responds to the scene. They secure the area. Call in forensic teams. The remains are partial, incomplete. Investigators believe wildlife scattered what was left. Or there are other locations they haven't found yet. They collect what they can, bag it, send it to the lab, DNA testing, dental records, the full workup. And along with the remains, they find something that gives them immediate certainty. Jewelry. Pieces Felicia's family recognized instantly. On February 28, 2023, the Montgomery County Medical Examiner's Office made it official. Felicia Marie Johnson. Confirmed. Kevin gets the call in California. The news he's been waiting for. The news he's been dreading. They found her. He told reporters later that he felt two things at once. Devastation, because now it's real. Now there's no hope left that she might still be out there somewhere, alive, and relief, because at least now he knows. At least now he can bring her home. At least now she can have a proper burial. He said it felt like Felicia was popping back from the grave for her revenge, for her justice, like she'd made sure she was found so the case couldn't be forgotten, so her killer couldn't just disappear into history. Kevin flew back to Houston one more time, not to search this time, to bring his daughter home. Here's what makes this discovery so haunting. Remember Noboto's search history? April 21st, 2022. 5 days after Felicia disappeared, he Googled, most forested part of Houston, Sam Houston National Forest, the exact location where her remains were found. His digital footprint predicted the crime scene almost a year before anyone found it. He told investigators exactly where to look. He just didn't know they'd be reading his searches while he was on the run. The discovery confirms everything police suspected. The dismemberment, the disposal, the methodical cover-up. But here's the problem. Because of the condition of the remains, the medical examiner can't determine an exact cause of death. Too much time, too much decomposition, too much damage from the elements and wildlife. So even with the body, even with all the evidence, there are still questions that can't be answered. And the man who knows those answers? He's been free for almost a year at this point. It's 2025 now. 3 years since Chukwuebuka Noboto walked out of that Houston police station. 3 years since he vanished. And in all that time, There hasn't been a single confirmed sighting. No arrests, no leads that went anywhere. No mistakes that brought him back into view. He's 31 years old now. Could be anywhere. Could look completely different. Beard, shaved head, weight gain, weight loss, new name, new city, new identity. He could be the guy sitting next to you on the bus, the coworker you barely notice, the person bagging groceries at your local store. And that's what makes this so terrifying. Because he's not some movie villain hiding in the shadows. He's just gone. So where is Chukwuebuka Nwobodo? Law enforcement has three main theories. Theory 1, Nigeria. Nwobodo's family is from the Igbo ethnic group in southeastern Nigeria. He has roots there, connections, people who might hide him. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people. If he changed his name, blended into a community, kept his head down, he could disappear completely. Extradition from Nigeria to the United States is complicated, politics, slow. Even if authorities knew exactly where he was, getting him back wouldn't be simple. Theory 2, Europe. Large Nigerian communities exist across Europe, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, the UK. He could have flown out under a false identity, obtained fake documents, started over. In a major European city, with the right connections, someone can vanish into the diaspora population without much trouble. Theory 3, he never left the United States. This is the one that keeps investigators up at night. What if he's still here? New city, new name, new life. Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. Somewhere big enough to disappear, but familiar enough to navigate. Working cash jobs, staying off the grid, moving every few months. The truth is, nobody knows. And that uncertainty, that's what haunts Kevin Johnson every single day. The Houston Police Department's Homicide Division maintains an active warrant for Nwobodo's arrest. He's charged with murder and tampering with evidence. He's considered armed and dangerous. Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to his capture. But so far, nothing credible has come in. No tips that led anywhere. No surveillance footage that confirmed his location. No financial activity that pinged the system. It's like he studied exactly how fugitives get caught, and then did the opposite of everything that trips them up, which given his search history makes perfect sense. Remember, he Googled how to get away with murder. He researched cheapest places to live in the world at $1,000 a month. He looked up, how do missing person investigations work? This man planned his escape the same way he planned Felicia's murder, methodically, carefully, with every detail mapped out. Community activist Quinell X has held vigils for Felicia, in Houston, where she was killed, in San Diego, where she grew up. People who never met her show up, light candles, say her name. Quinell X uses these moments to issue warnings to other young women. He talks about the patterns, the tactics predators use, the fake promises, the late-night meetings, the isolation strategies. His message isn't about shame, it's about survival. Your life can be taken from you in the blink of an eye by some sick-minded individual. He's trying to make sure Felicia's death means something, that it saves someone else. But he's also calling out the system, because Felicia's case became part of a larger conversation about how missing Black women are treated by law enforcement, about how cases get deprioritized based on who the victim was, what she was doing, where she was working, about how women in certain professions are seen as less deserving of protection, less worthy of urgency, less human. Felicia Johnson deserved better, and so does every woman who's gone missing since. But here's the question that keeps coming back. Those photos on Nwobodo's phone, the dismembered bodies police couldn't identify. Who were they? Were they real victims, or just images he collected while researching? If they were real, if Felicia wasn't his first, then where are they? How many families are still searching for daughters who disappeared years ago? How many cases went cold because the police didn't connect the dots? And if he's been free for 3 years, if he's out there right now, living under a new name, has he done it again? Is there someone else's father out there, printing flyers, organizing search parties, begging police to move faster? We don't know. but the possibility is enough to make your skin crawl. Chukwuebuka Nwobodo is out there. Right now. Today. Maybe in another country. Maybe in another state. Maybe in your city. He's 31 years old. He's smart. He's careful. And he's already proven he knows how to kill and get away with it. Kevin Johnson wakes up every morning knowing his daughter's killer is free, that the system had him and let him go, that justice isn't just delayed, it's been stolen. And somewhere Nwobodo is watching the news, reading updates, wondering if today's the day someone recognizes him or if he's gotten away with it forever. All right, we're 22 minutes in. You've heard the whole story, the evidence, the failure, the escape. And if you're still sitting here without subscribing, I need you to do something for me. Go to the comments right now and explain why. Tell me why this isn't worth 2 seconds of your time. Tell me why you're okay scrolling past warnings like this and not engaging. Because honestly, I'm curious. What's your excuse? Is it because you think this can't happen to you? Because it can. Is it because you don't think these stories matter? Because they do. So drop a comment. Tell me why you won't subscribe. Why are you willing to risk it? I'll wait. Kevin Johnson carries a weight most people can't imagine. The knowledge that his daughter's killer was caught, that police had DNA, had surveillance, had confessions written in Google searches, that they held him, questioned him, processed him, and then let him walk away. If they'd acted differently on May 13th, 2022, Chukwuebuka Nwobodo would be in prison right now. Felicia's case would be closed. Kevin could grieve without the constant what-ifs eating him alive. But instead, he lives with this. Every morning, he wakes up knowing the person who murdered his daughter is out there, free, possibly planning the next one. He's spoken publicly about what this has done to him, the health issues, the sleepless nights, the weight of fighting a system that should have protected his family but didn't. But Kevin hasn't given up. He still searches, still advocates, still keeps Felicia's name alive. Because if he stops, if he lets this case fade into the background, then Felicia becomes just another statistic, another missing woman whose story didn't matter enough. And Kevin refuses to let that happen. This case isn't just about Felicia Johnson. It's about every young woman who's ever trusted the wrong person, every family that's had to become their own investigators because the system moved too slow, every case that got deprioritized because of who the victim was or what they were doing when they disappeared. Felicia made a choice to meet someone she connected with online. She accepted a ride. She took a risk for an opportunity. And yes, you can judge that choice. But here's the thing. Millions of people make similar choices every single day and come home safe. The problem isn't that Felicia took a risk. The problem is that predators exist, that they hunt, that they plan, that they know exactly how to exploit vulnerability. And when we catch them, when we have all the evidence we need, the system has to work. Because if it doesn't, then every warning, every awareness campaign, every be careful out there speech means nothing. So what can you learn from Felicia's story? Not to blame her, but to recognize the patterns. Red flag 1. Someone you just met online offers money for an in-person meeting with vague details. If it's not clear what you're being paid for, that's intentional. Predators keep things vague so you fill in the blanks with something safer than the truth. Red flag 2. Late-night meetings in unfamiliar locations, 3 a.m. pickups, addresses that don't match, rides that take you somewhere other than where you agreed to go. If someone's controlling your transportation, they're controlling your escape routes. Red flag 3. No digital trail, Snapchat, cash payments, burner phones, fake addresses. When someone's going out of their way to avoid leaving evidence, ask yourself, evidence of what? Felicia didn't ignore all these flags because she was careless. She probably saw some of them, weighed the risk, decided the opportunity was worth it. But Nwobodo was counting on that. He knew how to make the trap look like a transaction, and that's what makes him so dangerous. If you have any information about Chukwuebuka Nwobodo's whereabouts, you need to come forward. The Houston Police Department Homicide Division is actively searching for him. You can contact them directly or call Crime Stoppers anonymously. There's a $5,000 reward for information that leads to his arrest. Maybe you knew him before 2022. Maybe you've seen someone who matches his description. Maybe you heard something, saw something, know something. Even if it seems small, it could be the piece that brings him in. And if you're watching this and you are Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, know this: you're not as invisible as you think. Someone's going to recognize you. Someone's going to talk. And when that happens, you're going to face everything you've been running from. Kevin Johnson isn't giving up. The investigators aren't giving up. And this story, it's going to keep spreading until someone, somewhere, sees your face and makes the call. Felicia Marie Johnson. Say her name. She was 24 years old. She had dreams. She had talent. She had a future. She loved her family, her father, her siblings, her friends. She wasn't perfect. None of us are. But she was loved, and she mattered. And the fact that her killer is still free doesn't change that. Kevin Johnson wants the world to remember his daughter as more than a victim. He wants people to see her smile, her ambition, her light. He wants her life to mean something beyond the way it ended. So when you think about this case, don't just remember the horror. Remember Felicia. Remember that she was a real person with real dreams who deserved to live them. And remember that justice isn't done until the person who took that future from her is held accountable. If this story taught you something, if it made you think twice about that late-night ride, that online meetup, that vague opportunity, then you owe it to the next person to share this. Subscribe so you never miss these warnings. Like this video so the algorithm pushes it to someone who needs to see it. Comment, "Rest in peace, Felicia," so her name trends, so it stays visible, so her case doesn't get buried. Because the only way we stop the next Chukwuebuka Nwobodo is by refusing to let these stories die in silence. Every share is a warning. Every comment is accountable. Every subscription is a signal that these cases matter. Don't let Felicia's death mean nothing. Don't let her father's fight be for nothing. Make noise. Engage. Spread the word. Because if we stay silent, we're complicit. Felicia Marie Johnson. Remember her story. Say her name. And stay safe out there. Thanks for watching till the end, and until our next video, stay safe.